You're inside the Press Box. Christian FM Sports presents Inside the Press Box, where we discuss all sports from our favorite high school team to college and pro. Here's your hosts, Paul Tipton and Gary Paris.
Hey, Vero Nation. Gary Paris, Paul Tipton in the Press Box. Thanks for you joining us in the Press Box as well, as Vero Beach wins round number 2, the Region 3 semifinal. And what a game it was against Melbourne. 26-7, the final score. Vero Beach gets its win, earns the right to move on to round number 3, the region final, which faces up against Osceola. We'll talk about the Cowboys, a familiar foe, in just a little bit. But Gary, what a game it turned out to be. We knew this was going to be a tough one. Every week it gets tougher. The longer in the playoffs, the harder the teams, obviously. Number 1 taking on number 4. Melbourne had played a pretty tough schedule, and they showed it right away. Early on in that game, it was just punch, counter punch.
Yeah, Paul, this was a good matchup for Vero Beach in one sense of the way, is that Vero's defense has been playing some phenomenal lights-out ball games. This D offense of Melbourne's has been playing some lights-out games, too.
Yeah.
And so there's going to be a good matchup between our defense versus their offense. And there was no letdown there. It was a great battle between these two teams. And again, Vero Beach came out victorious 26-7. But kudos to our defense. I mean, it was outstanding again when it needed to be. Great play by them.
Yeah, I mean, they come in, their quarterback, Turner, had come in throwing just under 1,800 yards on the season. Their top running back, Lambert, was over 1,000 yards on the season. So, okay, you look at the numbers, you go, this is a balanced offensive team. And so the defense can't just key off on one particular thing. They did a great job. They kind of sensed when it was going to be a run. They kind of sensed when it was going to be a pass. And while, Melbourne made some plays, our defense, I think, did a great job keeping them in check.
Yeah, they got one score on the board against us, and every time they seemed to get a first down, our defense then buckled up. We ran a blitz, we got a sack, we got a tackle for a loss. We just played solid defense across that front. Our defensive line. Brown, Kiz did a great job getting across there, and he played havoc, was having fun back there, and that was contagious with the rest of those guys. Antoine Montgomery was having fun. I mean, You could sense it. Pollock come flying up in there as a blitz, and Campbell spent most of the day in the backfield.
He did.
With creating havoc back there with that. So. And then you had Bucky Rojas. You can't say enough about his athleticism, his speed for his size. It was great to watch them play, and it put so much pressure on the quarterback and their running back. And it really was a fantastic game. But the best team won. Vero outplayed them. Vero just had their number. It was a good matchup for us.
It was. I thought it was a really good matchup for us. And again, a lot of credit goes to our coaching staff on both sides of the ball. I mean, the things that they brought to the table for Friday night were just absolutely excellent. You just talked about the defensive side. Coach Mata and Bethel and Ray Hall and those guys, did a great job with what they brought to the table. We got 2 interceptions out of it. Jacobs got an INT. Oh my gosh, what a catch that was. That was you would have thought he was catching a touchdown or a wide receiver. He caught that ball just like a wide receiver catches a pass going out of bounds. Imagine that.
Yeah.
A wide receiver.
Yeah.
Wow. It's almost like he plays that position.
That's what I was playing on words there.
Then you got Wesley near the end. He gets an interception as well, but a lot of that was due to the pressure, as GP says, from Kesney Brown, Montgomery. Then you get Campbell and Rojas and Pollock and those guys. They were just relentless. But then let's talk about the offensive side of the ball. We were able to put up 26 points on the board against this Melbourne defense that comes in with some really stout linebacking crew that came in with a lot of tackles for loss, a lot of sacks, And, we knew going in we were going to be down with one of our offensive linemen, offensive line that has been thin all season long, got a little thinner. And so, there were some big question marks, Gary, but they did the job well.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, when you lose one of your best offensive linemen, when you're already thin on the line to begin with, you're, you shake your head, go, wow, what are we going to do? And but they did exactly. Coach called a great game. You're without your starting quarterback, so you're putting pressure on your backup quarterback and your number 3 quarterback, who's an all-around athlete. And Jake Whiteley came out, completed 9 of 13 passes before he got knocked out of the game himself for 91 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Now, he got in the third quarter, he took a shot.
Yep.
And he got laid out right there. I mean, it was a late blitz. We call that like a zero blitz where the safety or somebody comes up. It was a linebacker that had walked back like he was going to play as a safety. So the quarterback reads him not as a blitz so much, and he timed it. He come running in from there, and he just blindsided him, and his backside turned to him and knocked Jake out of the game. Hopefully he'll be okay. And for this week, we had no updates. He didn't go back in the game.
No, we didn't see him back in the game. The word that we got, I'd asked Coach about it, and he said he thinks he's okay. But, we don't have an official statement about that. I guess we'll find out maybe tomorrow when we do our Coach's Corner with Coach Jay. Maybe he'll give us an update on that. But one thing's for sure, you on Friday night when you got a game, wait and see. Is he out there on the field or not?
The old saying, the next man up, is very important because E.J. White became that next man up. E.J. went in and threw 6 completed passes, only threw 8 times, but he completed 6 of them for 100 yards and 1 touchdown. And that touchdown was a screen pass to Vondravius Jacobs.
Which is always beautiful. A good idea.
Yeah, I mean, that line, offensive line, and the wide receivers did their job. And Jacobs got past the coverage and got downfield. Now, I say that. I think that was EJ that threw it, but it might have been right before.
No.
It was EJ.
That was EJ.
That was EJ. Yeah, I was thinking that might have been Whiteley because he had one.
Whiteley threw his touchdown pass to Rogers to Quincy.
Yes,
and that was 7 yards. And then, of course, Quincy went out of the game with an ankle injury right after that score. On that scoring play,
yes,
he comes. He's laying there on the ground, and they get him out. Now, we were told that it was basically an ankle injury that he was able to possibly come back into the game if he was absolutely needed. We didn't need him, so what we're hoping is that through the course of this week he'll get enough treatment.
Oh, we're going to need him,
and we'll need him, for this game coming up. Because this is another tough ball game, as you would expect. It gets a little harder every week that you stay in the playoffs against Kissimmee on Friday night. But, Gary, going back to just that performance overall, I love these numbers. Through the air, 191 yards. On the ground, 146 yards on the ground. You talk about balance on offense. That is balance. And, of course, a lot of those rushes were the result of, E.J. White. E.J., 21 carries, 86 yards, and a couple of touchdowns. But as you always say, you take what's given to you, and that offense did exactly that.
And I thought EJ did a good job of Coach had a chance to, again, you see each game he plays, he gets a little better at quarterback. Mm-hmm. Every rep that he gets, it's like it's part of his memory now. You remember things. You go back and you say, okay, Coach tells you, look, when they bail out of the middle, and they're taking away your throwing game, then you got the opening there and you give a hole, go for it, get up through there and run, as we did. We saw him do he get down in the red zone.
Yep.
And on one carry, everybody was blocked well. He takes it, he cuts back in, nobody there. He goes into the end zone untouched almost. So that's heads up. That's his ability to learn this game. And again, Coach will install more. We don't know what we won't know until probably, like you said, tomorrow, that, if Jake is going to be able to play. And if he plays, then, he'll regularly run our regular offense, and then you'll bring White in on certain situations, certain downs that you'll put him in. But he did an admirable job stepping in for Whiteley.
He did a great job. And, the future is really bright, but the immediate future is this coming Friday night. And, of course, Gary, you've got an interesting situation here, too, as, there's no school this week because, it's Thanksgiving week. So, I know the coaching staff's going to do what they can. And, the weather's kind of a little sketchy this week as well.
Sketchy? Rain sketchy?
Well,
It's raining.
I say sketchy in the fact that it's raining, and I don't think we're going to have to worry about that L word, that's going to maybe sound off a horn that keeps them off the field. So I think we'll be okay as far as practice goes. But, you're going to be playing. I don't know that we're going to be playing in miserable conditions, but you're definitely going to be practicing in miserable conditions.
Yeah, these first couple of days this week, it calls for a lot of rain. We had it yesterday and today and probably early tomorrow, but then it's supposed to go through and go over us and clear up.
Mm-hmm.
But again, you got to get your reps in. You got to get it in, and whether it's inside in the gym, working on everywhere everybody runs and supposed to, or we'll do it in the afternoon when there's a break in the rain, and that's when you've got to try to get out on the field. You need those live. You need as many live reps and fast full speed reps than I think not live contact. You don't need live contact, but you need the timing, especially when you've got a young quarterbacks in your. You need to get all the timing you can get, running routes, handing the ball off.
Absolutely. Well, Gary, that means Vero Beach now will face Osceola, a team that we have played over the years a few times, both in the regular season and in the playoffs. And the Cowboys have ended our season at least 2 times that I know of in the playoffs. This is another strong Cowboys team led by their running back, Tavon Swint, who's rushed for over 1,300 yards now and has 19 touchdowns. He's had 6 100-yard games. They throw the ball a little bit as well. They got a quarterback that's thrown for about 1,200 yards or so. So they're fairly balanced on offense. And so, again, you're talking about an effort by our defense that's going to have to be on our A-plus game.
They got probably one of the best lines of scrimmage, both offense and defense, we'll see all year. They do a great job of protecting their quarterback, and they do a great job of creating havoc with their defense. Their offense, as you said, the running back Swint is only a sophomore.
Yeah.
He's 5'10", 180 pounds, a sophomore. And he's, like
Incredible.
You said, he's rushed for close to 1,400 yards, 19 touchdowns. His longest run was 76 yards. Now, this is a team that comes in averaging 30 points a game, but only giving up 12 points a game. Their losses, their 3 losses this year was to Lakeland, who's in our northern region, our northern section, who we may end up playing if we win.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's their one loss was to Lakeland. Their other loss was to Jones, one of the best schools in the Orlando area. Jones is a 3A school. That's one of the top schools in 3A. And the other one was Seminole. Seminole, who is one of the best teams in Metro.
Yep.
And for Metro, they're in the final, going to the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Also, so you take their 3 losses. Those were great football teams. And they played Treasure Coast twice. Beat them 14-5, and then last week beat them 10-7. What a battle that was right there.
Yeah, no kidding. Then they've got a very strong defense, as Gary said, only giving up 12 points a game. And you look at, they got 1, 2, 3 guys that have, one's got 10 sacks. You got another guy that's got 8 sacks and another guy that's got 9 sacks. For the season, they've got a total of 38 sacks. And then you start looking at their takeaways, and they've got 18 interceptions, and they have 13 fumble recoveries. So, they like to get the ball back.
I'm going to give you one name on that defensive line. His name is, you all listen to this name, because I hope we don't call it a lot. If we're calling his name a lot, then we're in trouble. He's number 55, John Walker. John is 6'4", 300 pounds. He's a commit to UCF. He chose UCF over Florida, Florida State, Miami, he is a 4-star defensive lineman that has 9 sacks, 13 tackles for loss, 71 total tackles. He's in the backfield. That is their leader. That's that inspiration leader to them. Then they got a defensive end named Derek LeBlanc, who also is a center, who's 6'5", 275 pounds.
Whew.
That is going to is the D1 prospect himself.
Wow.
He hasn't named a school yet, but he has 11 tackles for loss, 10 sacks. Now, that's the front of their front four. Those two guys right there. Their linebackers, Paul, are led by a guy named Robert Lee. Now, Robert Lee is a sophomore. He's one of those talented sophomores, 6'1", 210 outside linebacker, 78 total tackles, 17 tackles for loss.
Wow.
I mean, that is a sophomore that they play havoc with. They got a good secondary. They've got, like you said, they have 18 interceptions. A lot of those interceptions because that front four puts havoc on the quarterback. You watch film on them, a lot of some interceptions are balls that are tipped, underthrown, pressure on the quarterback. I don't know that many quarterbacks got a chance to step and plant against these guys. So it's going to be our offensive line, the battle of the trenches.
Yep.
Our offensive line allowing our quarterbacks a chance to throw the ball. And it'll be a great challenge for Coach Jay to get together and get a game plan where he gets the ball fast out of the hands of the quarterback. He's got to get it quick. It's going to be hard to go deep against these guys because you're asking some young offensive linemen. We're down one major lineman. We moved a sophomore over to come into the ball game.
Right.
He's playing at one tackle, and Ben Hall is playing at one tackle, and then we moved Benitez over to the right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
So you've got some young guys in there right now. Both those guys, one's sophomore, one's junior. So you got some young guys in there at those outside positions, and going to be a lot of pressure on the two guards in the center, and the running back has got to be able to help help pick up the blitz, and you're going to ask your receivers to come in motion. You may have to leave guys in the back there to help protect at times, but it's just a coach will come up with a game plan. I promise you, that will fit Vero's hand. Now, That doesn't mean we can't win this game. I'm just saying that this is the best team. Listen, you're to the third round. People say, well, Vero has a problem getting past the third round. Well, that's because you play teams like Osceola, Venice, guys like that into the third round. Treasure Coast, when they went all the way, was in the Final Four a couple times. When we play teams like that in the third round, you're playing. There's only 8 teams. There's only 8 teams left. We're one of the best 8 teams in the state of Florida right now at Class 4S.
Right.
There's 8 of us. That's all that's left.
That's it.
And so you've got to expect the best competition is won and has gotten there.
Mm-hmm. So
to be there, I'm not saying that this is where we should end up, but to get to the next round, to the Final Four, man, you've got to be healthy, and which we're not. We're not healthy because we don't have our best athletes, our best quarterback, or one of our best linemen out there. And we got a dinged up running back right now. Yep. So we're going in there, and again, nobody's saying, well, we feel sorry for Vero Beach. Well, no. That's just part of the game.
Totally.
When you win a state championship or when you win a lot of games, you're healthy.
Mm-hmm.
You get through it the season, you end up with okay, we had a great season. The brakes bounced our way, everything went our way. We stayed healthy, and that's how you win games. But when you're banged up, you got to adjust. You got to hope that you got enough talent spread across the field that you can win this game. But it's tough. Now, does that sound like I'm crying? I'm just letting our listeners be aware. Be aware, we're playing a very, very good football team, a very physical football team. and it's going to take everything we got to beat them.
Yeah, and you're 100% right on that, and that's the way it should be. You know, when you get to this part of the playoffs, you know you're playing the best of the best teams in the state of Florida at this point. And, you know, this is not something that we try to create to help kind of like smooth some things over or, you know, give ourselves some kind of escape clause out of it if we lose this game. It's just reality right now. And, you know, right now, if you look at the playoff brackets right now, you kind of, you know, Gary, you and I talked about this during our pregame show last week. You know, is the playoff system right? How are they coming up with these formulas and all that? Well, I got to tell you this right now. Right now, you got number 1 versus number 2 in our region. So I have to say, as far as our region is concerned, it seems like they got that right. You know, because you got the top-rated team and the second-rated team in that bracket are playing each other for the chance to go to the Final Four. So by that measure alone, this should be a very difficult challenge. Doesn't mean we can't overcome the challenge, but it's a big challenge coming up to our way.
I agree with you, Paul. Well said, and it's a great challenge. It's good we got it at home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we would play, if we won, we would play the winner of Lakeland, I believe, and
well, it's still to be decided.
Oh,
right
is it?
now. Yeah,
Okay.
I think that you still have to figure out because they reshuffle the whole seeding based off the RPI numbers from the very beginning.
Well, I stand corrected.
So right now, as it stands, projections right now would be that Bartram Trail probably wins their game in Region 1.
Mm-hmm.
Lakeland probably wins their game in Region 2. Those are the top 2 teams in our class right now by the rankings. Vero Beach would probably fit that 3rd seed if we win. Then you've got, if Venice wins out, which is what they project, they were the 5th seeded team overall. So it would be basically Bartram, Lakeland, Vero, and Venice. Well, if one plays 4, so that means Bartram plays Venice, Lakeland would play Vero Beach. So because they're corrected, if they are, and because they're the higher rated team,
right,
they would earn the right for home field.
Exactly. And again, you're into the Elite 8, and you don't know. This is way high school football. There's always those opportunities. You take advantage. There'll be upsets, and we just got to be ready to play.
Yep. Goal number 1. Win this game. Then you figure out what happens on the rest of it.
There you
go. But yeah, let's see if we can't get ourselves a win here and move on to round 4. It's going to be a tough matchup. The Cowboys, they're a real deal team, and so it's going to be fun on Friday night. 7:30 p.m. kickoff at the Citrus Bowl. You want to get your tickets, you can. It's gofan.co. That's where you get your tickets. Now, there's no reserve seating, so just go ahead. Get your tickets. You can also buy tickets at the gate. I've had a number of people ask you, is electronic the only way? No, you can actually buy tickets at the gate. Again, it's a first come, first serve, no reserve seating. So go ahead. If you want to wait till game night, that's your prerogative. And hey, Gary, wish you the best. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too, and to all our listeners too.
All right, fans. We'll see you on Friday night. Get yourself a good dose of turkey, and let's get ready for some football on Friday night at the Citrus Bowl. And as always, go Indians.
Thanks for joining us inside the press box. For more, go to ChristianFM.com.